Okay, next question is Lasting Regional Authority is responsible for the provision of a wide range of services in the Lasting region, which is best in the south of the country. A. These services include, amongst other things, responsibility for residents, welfare, schools, housing, hospital, roads, and waste management. Over recent months, the Lasting region experienced the hottest and waste management, sorry, experienced the hottest temperature on record, resulting in several forest fires which caused damage to several schools and some local roads. Unfortunately, these hot temperatures were then followed by flooding, which left a number of residents without homes and saw higher than usual numbers of admissions to hospital due to the outbreak of disease. These hospitals were full and some patients were treated in tents. Residents have been complaining for some years that a new hospital is needed in this area. Prior to these events, the LRA was proudly leading the way in a new approach to waste management. With the introduction of its new waste recycling scheme, 2 years ago, it began phase one of the scheme, and half of its residents were issued with different colored waste bins of different types of waste. The final phase was due to begin in 1 month's time. Cost of providing the new waste bins is significant, but LRA's focus has always been on the long-term saving, both to the environment and in terms of reduced waste disposal cost. The LRA is about to begin preparing its budget for the coming financial year, which starts in 1 month. Over the recent years, zero-based budgeting has been introduced at a number of regional authorities. And given the demand on resources which LRA faces this year, it is considering whether now would be good time to introduce it. Okay, we know that zero-based budgeting is what? Zero-based budgeting means we are going to prepare our budget from scratch or zero. We are not incorporating last year's values in our next period budget. Usually, zero-based budgeting are followed by, like we can say that these are followed by government organizations or those organizations which are incurring a discretionary cost or where they are going to start any activity from the scratch or where allocation of budget will be revised. On the other hand, in parallel to zero-based budgeting, we have another approach which is called incremental budgeting. Incremental budgeting is the one where we are going to make some percentage changes in the last year budget, and these percentage changes will be incorporated. So here we are saying what? We are saying that our focus is to incorporate zero-based budgeting, which is focusing on the elimination of wastages, which incorporates or which evaluates all the activities from scratch. It performs a cost benefit analysis from each one of the activity and then allocate the resources. So what are the main steps involved in preparing zero-based budgeting? Now, the first one is identifying previous inefficiencies using adaptive management processes and avoid wasteful expenditure in planning. Recognizing different cost behavior pattern, planning on rolling basis and ignoring wasteful expenditures. Recognizing different cost behavior patterns is basically a job of flexible budgeting approach, not the zero-based budgeting. Flexible budgeting evaluates which one of the costs are variable, which one are fixed, and which are semi-variable. Analyzing the cost of each activity, identifying alternative methods, and assessing the consequences of performing the activity at different levels. Lastly, updating the budget continually, setting performance standards, and controlling performance monthly with the use of variance analysis. This is the definition of the rolling budget. So if I like change my budgeting approach, or if I change my question, rather than asking about zero-based budgeting, if I ask about rolling-based budget, this answer could be the correct one. So I identified that uh, part B, option B or option D cannot be the correct answer. So now we have what? We have rest of the two answers. Identifying previous inefficiencies, it is true, but this one is more appropriate where we are saying that analyzing the cost of each one of the activity, then identifying alternative methods, then assessing the consequences of the performance of the activity at different levels of the organization. So C is the right answer, that we are doing what? We are basically performing or analyzing the cost of each one of the activity in zero-based budgeting. As I told you that it will perform cost-benefit analysis and will identify that where benefit is greater than the cost. Which two of the following statements are true? Number one, now is a good time to introduce zero-based budgeting in LRA. Basically, there is no specific time that this is the right time to introduce zero-based budgeting. Introduction of zero-based budgeting in any organization is relatively straightforward, not relatively straightforward. It is basically very time-consuming. It is costly. So each one of the organization will evaluate their nature of product, their nature of service, their nature of business, and on the basis of their evaluation, they will decide that which one is the appropriate budgeting approach for them. Either they should use zero-based budgeting, they should follow incremental budget, or any other approach. Introduction of zero-based budgeting in LRA would be lengthy and costly. This one is true. A zero-based budgeting not only in LRA, wherever you will adopt zero-based budgeting, it is lengthy and costly because you are evaluating each one of the activities within the organization from scratch, and you are performing cost benefit analysis. You are performing the ranking of each one of the activity and then allocating the resources. Conflict situation may arise if zero-based budgeting is introduced in LRA. Yes, definitely conflict situation will arise because there will be identification of wastages, inefficiencies, and previous budgeting report pattern will become will abandon. So whenever we are going to change our budgeting approach, and we are going to identify inefficiencies, there will be conflicts and it will be difficult to eliminate those conflicts. But whenever organizations wants to improve, they take such type of decisions. Next one is, which of the following correctly describes a decision package? Basically, zero-based budgeting consider each one of the activity as a decision package. So when they consider as a decision package, they perform just like a limiting factor decision, that where we are identifying cost benefit analysis, then we are performing ranking and then allocating resources. Because none of the organization in this world or none of the country even in this world has indefinite resources. So organizations always have limited resources. Either they are privately funded organization, equity-based organizations, or like government organizations. Within the context of zero-based budgeting, a method of budgeting that requires each cost element to be specifically justified, though the activities to which budget relates were being undertaken for the first time. Decision or choice between making a product in-house or outsourcing and buying in. This is not the zero-based budgeting. It is basically make or buy decision. So if question says that what is make or buy decision, this could be the right answer. A method of budgeting based on activity framework and utilizing cost driver data in the budget setting and variance feedback process. So this could be the definition of activity-based budgeting, where we are using cost drivers for each one of the activity. A list of costs that will not result in an outflow of cash either now or in the future, or result in real cash expenditure. So if not result in any kind of cash outflow, this could be the definition of a non-cash item like depreciation, like any notional interest, like any hypothetical cost. So it means these three cannot be the correct answers of the decision package. Correct answer of the decision package is what? It is A, where we have a method of budgeting which requires each cost element to specifically justify as though the activities to which budget relates were being undertaken for the first time. Next one is, which of the following statement is true? If any of the activities or operations at LRA are wasteful, zero-based budgeting will not be able to identify these and remove them. This is not true. Zero-based budgeting will be able. With the implementation of zero-based budgeting, managers become less motivated as they have had a key role in putting the budget together. Not necessarily they will be less motivated, but preferably they should be more motivated. Zero-based budgeting would discourage a more questioning attitude and leads managers to just the status quo. It is not discouraging, it is basically encouraging a more questioning attitude. So once again, you can see that if these three are incorrect, which one is correct? Overall zero-based budgeting at LRA will lead to a great efficient allocation of resources. Next one is, which of the following difficulties in assessing performance in not-for-profit organizations? Not-for-profit organizations are usually the one which are called NGO. They are responsible for what? They are responsible to provide welfare in the area which they identified. So benefit and cost are not always easy to quantify. It is not true. Benefit and cost are always, if not easy, but can be quantified. So not always be easy looks incorrect. The organization often have multiple stakeholders and they have therefore multiple objectives. Basically, stakeholders are the one who have different types of interest in the organization. Multiple stakeholders, mainly there are two, three multiple stakeholders. One, the people who are providing donations. The other one who will be the beneficiary or users of those donations. Third one is the government or other legal authorities compliance authorities which are monitoring the activities of not-for-profit seeking organizations, either they are aligned with their objective or not. So these organizations often have multiple stakeholders and therefore multiple objectives. These organizations often have unlimited funds and are therefore not motivated to measure the performance. So I will say that somehow it is true because he is saying that describe difficulties. So benefit and cost are not always easy to quantify. It is correct. Why it is correct? Because at times a few activities are more costly in not-for-profit seeking organization. Maybe we are not able to identify their benefit right now, but their benefit will be the long-term benefit. So most of their activities are not for the shorter period of time, or their focus is not only the shorter period. In fact, their focus is what? Their focus is longer period. But organization have multiple stakeholders and therefore multiple objectives. It is true that this is the difficulty and not the unlimited funds because they have funds from their donation funds from donations or they are funded by the government or therefore not motivated to measure performance. It is not easy for to set any key performance indicators for them. Although we use 3 E's approach, efficiency, economy, and effectiveness to measure the performance of not-for-profit seeking organizations, but it is difficult to have typical key performance indicators and critical success factors when we are evaluating the performance of not-for-profit seeking organizations. So this one looks correct. Option D, second and third.